Hey guys, welcome, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the best video editing software you need to be using if you're just starting out, coming up. Alright, so let's just start off with number one, which is Premiere Pro. Now I'm sure all of you have actually heard about Premiere Pro before because your favorite YouTuber must have even mentioned it once or twice earlier on.
10 tips in Premiere Pro.
Favorite feature of the 2019 Premiere.
I basically live in the Adobe ecosystem, so Adobe Premiere primarily.
Now, this is the case because Adobe has been in the video editing game for a very, very long time. They have all the tools and titles, transitions, everything that you actually need to get started. The only catch is it's pretty steep for a person that's just starting out. It's $20.99 per month or around $240 a year. And that's just for the single app of getting Premiere Pro. That's none of the other things that you may need down the line, which is Adobe After Effects, for example, or even Lightroom or Photoshop to do your thumbnails. So even if you get Premiere Pro as a standalone app, it will definitely have everything that you need to get started. But it does lack a little bit in terms of the motion graphics or the title packs that you may need. So if you go online, you can actually find a lot of those, which you have to definitely purchase as well. But you will also need After Effects in order to fine tune those or to kind of create your own. So if you were to get After Effects, then that is another $240 that you have to spend. And that gets quite expensive because there's even Audition, which is a separate app that Adobe sells, which is part of their package, which deals with sound engineering to get that perfect sound that you may need if you're making a short movie. Now, will you need this starting out? Definitely not. But as you're getting better, you may want the flexibility of being very intricate with the details that you may need. So that means you would need Premiere Pro open, After Effects, and Audition all open at the same time, which can get quite taxing on your computer because I'm sure starting out you may not have the best system to have these three apps running simultaneously. One of the pros of Premiere Pro though is that it works on both Mac and PC, so it doesn't matter which system you have. You can install it and you can run it on actually two computers. So when you sign up for a user agreement, you actually have two computers, one which is your primary and one which is your secondary. Now, you could technically give your brother or a family member the second computer key so you could work simultaneously, but technically you're only allowed two computers to have Premiere Pro installed. Another item on the Pro column for Premiere Pro is that there are a lot of presets. Now, Premiere Pro has been there for a very long time, as I mentioned earlier on. So people have actually created a lot of content in terms of tutorials, in terms of preset, in terms of motion graphics, anything that you may need starting out, you could just find it, buy it, and use it. And that comes into a huge Pro column in terms of usability and flexibility of use. A big con though for Premiere Pro is that it tends to crash a lot, especially whenever a new update comes in. It takes Adobe a little bit of time, I've realized, and even other people have realized. You can see a lot of memes online about how much it crashes, especially when you need it the most. Moving on to software number two, which is Final Cut Pro 10. Now, just as a disclosure, I have never actually used Final Cut Pro 10, and that's because I actually use a PC. And unfortunately, Final Cut Pro is actually only for Macs. So unless you have a Mac, you will not be able to use this program otherwise. However, with that said, Final Cut Pro is actually linked to your Apple ID. So if you go from one Mac to another Mac, you're able to download Final Cut Pro 10 on the new machine. I believe it's only a one computer license, so in terms of you can only use it on one computer at once. If I'm mistaken, please let me know in the comments below. Now, if you have a Mac and you want to go ahead and use Final Cut, you're definitely not missing out on any features. This has everything that Premiere Pro has, and between the two, it just comes down to preference, to be honest. On a price point level, the only difference between this and Premiere Pro is that this is a one-time fee. As of right now, you pay a one-time payment of $300 and then you own the software. So any upcoming updates, you automatically get. With Premiere Pro, since it is a quote-unquote rental versus you actually owning the product, then you have to pay every year or every month in order to use Premiere Pro. And that's the good thing with Final Cut, where you own the product at $300, so you kind of get all of the updates. The only thing is that Apple is kind of slow when releasing updates for Final Cut, so just remember that as well. The best thing about Final Cut is that it's actually created by Apple themselves. So you're using a Mac, which is created by Apple. You're using a software which is created by Apple. So they're actually created to work seamlessly with each other. And that's why a lot of people prefer using Final Cut, since they believe that they're actually getting a huge performance bump in terms of that integration between hardware and software. And finally, we come down to the third option, which is DaVinci Resolve. Now, this is my favorite software. I use this all the time. And the best part is that there's so much to learn. There's so much in there. Every time I use it, I learn a new feature. Unlike Premiere Pro, where we already spoke about having Premiere Pro for video editing, having After Effects to do all the motion graphics, and to have Audition for sound, DaVinci Resolve actually has all of these tools built in. All of these tools in one software. You just have to open one software and nothing else. If it feels like I'm fanboying on DaVinci Resolve, I am. I truly love this software because it has everything. It has a cut page in order for me to get all of the clips together at one spot and to organize them. It has the edit page to let me go in there and to do the fine-tuning details that I need to get done. It has the Fusion page, which lets me do all of the high-end visual effects or motion graphics if I need to add that into my video. It's got Fairlight, which does all of the sound engineering tweaking that I need to get done. And best of all, DaVinci Resolve is actually the #1 when it comes to color grading. It was actually designed as a color grading tool only, and that's why you don't hear a lot of people using it today. But now with DaVinci Resolve 16, it is a full-fledged video editing software. It's got everything that you would need from start to finish and even more. So why do I prefer DaVinci Resolve over the other two options? As a starting creator, I have time to create content sometimes, and there may be other times where I'm not able to create content. To be able to use a free software that I can use, that I don't have to pay for, to be able to use software that is actually used by big studios and production houses to get the content that we see on TV, and to have all of these professional tools for free. I mean, that is why I urge everyone to be using DaVinci Resolve, because at the end of the day, you're starting out without knowing anything about video editing. So in conclusion, guys, it doesn't matter which software you use. All three of these softwares have everything that you need to get started. My personal preference may be towards DaVinci Resolve, but at the end of the day, if you have a Mac and it's easy for you just to install Final Cut Pro and to get started and to keep using it, then by all means get it done. My only point is that since you're going to be learning a new software, because at the end of the day you will need to spend time to learn any new software, I would recommend to go towards DaVinci Resolve, since it's being used by all of the high-end studios and production houses out there. You can expect a lot of DaVinci Resolve tutorials and even a lot of content on filmmaking. So with that, guys, please hit that subscribe button and I will see you next time. Bye.